Hello again, everyone. You're joining us for another episode of Executive Platform's Blueprint podcast series. My name is Geoff Micks. I'm head of content and research. My guest today is Bealby of AFMS. We're going to be having a conversation about controlling shipping costs in a world that keeps getting more expensive. I think it's a really timely conversation. In fact, Derek was mentioning just before cameras started rolling, there's actually some recent news that a lot of people are talking about. I'm really excited to get into this one. Derek, thank you so much for joining me.
Jeff, thank you. Good morning.
Why don't we just start off with some of the news that you're dealing with as you're looking at controlling shipping costs?
Yeah, for sure. As you just highlighted, opening up just on Friday, UPS just announced their GRI for 2024. 2 weeks ago, FedEx announced their GRI for 2024. We are in budget planning cycles as we speak for our sourcing, procurement, and supply chain teams. We are getting calls every single day. What's my impact? What do we do about it? And how can AFMS assist in cost containing going into next year? Kind of some highlights on the UPS increase. They're averaging a 5.9% increase for 2024, certainly way above CPI. But I think most educated shippers think that's just normal. They've been doing that for 15, 20 years very consistently. But the devil is in the details. Accessorial costs will increase double digits in 2024. Understanding your individual impact is really the question.
I've been having a few conversations myself with supply chain executives, and controlling costs has always been one of the disciplines of a supply chain professional.
Yep.
It feels like it's a lot harder lately.
Yeah.
And I wonder if maybe you could walk us through some of the advice that you might have for people working on their shipping contracts.
Yeah, certainly the last few years we've seen tremendous changes, general marketplace around COVID highs and peaks and volumes for UPS and FedEx. They built out facilities. Now in 2023, we're seeing a decrease in shipping volume for certainly the first time in the last few years. Those companies need to, UPS and FedEx need to make sure that they are covering their own individual costs. So they're deploying certain strategies, new personnel, cost containment within their business, and also passing along all of that additional costs that they've brought on in the last few years, including one great example, the Teamsters contract that UPS just announced. Hey, it's ratified, it's great, but top line news, UPS drivers make $170,000 a year, 100,000 drivers. How do you afford that as a business? So they're passing along costs, so a educated shipper needs to now look into their details specifically and look for alternative shipping strategies, different carrier partners, but certainly understanding their profile and how do they retain a cost structure and a contract that they plan for over multiple years.
When I put myself in the position of a supply chain executive who is trying to do that fine detail work, I also catch myself thinking, I don't have all the answers. This is a lot of work.
Yeah.
AFMS is a leader in this space, of course.
Yeah.
Let's walk through how you're helping your clients get through this.
Yeah, so certainly 32 years of industry experience as AFMS. We actually pioneered the industry. Mike Erickson, our president, left Airborne Express, which was acquired by DHL, with the mindset of assisting volume shippers, no matter where you're located, industry you're in, but looking at your pricing contract. What does it mean to you? What does it mean to the carrier? Understanding where the margins, understanding where the gotchas are within the contract. So over the last 32 years, he's gone out and hired folks like myself, 17 years in parcel experience, used to work for UPS. All of my peers, it's mandatory that we have shipper carrier backgrounds. So we bring to the table 3,000 customers that partner with us. They give us their shipping contracts under NDA, the details that we have, so we can do benchmarking every single day. And then the personnel on our team know exactly how the negotiations occur with UPS, FedEx, DHL on a global scale. So we allow our customers to be more educated around their individual contracts, the pricing that they should be paying, and what I like to describe as having the answers to the test questions. So before you go to the negotiation table, AFMS will clearly set out what's expected, what's the outcome. And then from there, we're driving into the roadmap to get to that point where cost savings are achieved.
Now, I know you mentioned rates were just announced. There's a whole bunch of supply chain executives who are trying to figure this out right now. If they're not already partnered with AFMS, how long does it take to sort of get the thing started? Like, is this something that they can make a call and it's going to help on this cycle, or is it next year's problem? walk us through timelines.
Yeah, so we're ready today. Immediacy is certainly the plan, but we will work on any customer's time frame. Now, from a customer perspective, all UPS and FedEx contracts are negotiable. Every item within those contracts are negotiable. The time frame could be you just signed with UPS and FedEx in March of 2023, but now the market's changed. Your profile has changed. You can get an amendment inside that contract. So what AFMS offers is a free benchmark study. We'll take in your data, we'll sign an NDA, we'll give you an assessment in less than 10 business days at our cost so you can understand, hey, how well did I did in that contract? Validation of the work that you've done is key. And at that point, we'll be able to describe how we'd be able to achieve new pricing if you overlooked a couple areas within that recent negotiation.
And it's an ongoing relationship. This isn't a one and done situation. Yeah. Once you have a client, they tend to come to you every cycle.
Of course, right? Shipping happens every day, long-term contracts. UPS has been around for 110 plus years. At this point, AFMS will continue to thrive throughout your contract life cycle. So we are seen as stewards for the contract. So as pricing changes, your profile changes, AFMS is to be there to advise you, hey, we should tweak these things in the contract. So we're proactive partner in this, and we're right next to you with the negotiation side.
Derek, we have covered a lot of ground in a pretty condensed conversation here. Mm-hmm. I would hate for people to miss any of the takeaways that they should be thinking about further. If we could highlight one or two things that you want people to really take from this conversation, what would those be? Yeah,
so really hunkering down on what is your individual profile, understanding your data. The data with UPS and FedEx, really easy to get. CSV files, contracts, understand what those are. Now, seek outside counsel. The biggest companies out there, the Fortune 500s, their procurement teams certainly have lots of expertise, but they don't know the individual details within those contracts and that data itself to be able to have the most successful negotiations. So the largest companies out there in the world, they are seeking outside counsel to make sure they're validating their contracts, but also they're not leaving any money on the table in their negotiations. Now, when you think about the long-term cycle of a UPS contract, typically 3 years in length, if you miss something, you're compounding it over a 3-year cycle. So what AFMS will do at no cost is to be able to do that validation study, that benchmark, invaluable information.
For people who have questions, want to learn more, or just want AFMS's help, what's the best way to get in touch?
Yeah, certainly find me on LinkedIn, Derek Bealby, Vice President AFMS, but AFMS.com.
All right.
Okay, very standard website. Reach out, info link, we'll get right back to you.
All right. Well, I encourage everybody to visit that website and also connect with Derek. I mean, clearly he's a wealth of information, and if this is one of your pain points, maybe he can help. Derek, thank you again for joining us. It's always a pleasure.
Awesome. Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate it.
You've been listening to another episode of Executive Platform's Blueprint Podcast Series. I've been Geoff Micks. Let's do it again soon.